All right. Welcome to Guarantee News. Now, in the beginning of June, you couldn't watch the news without seeing pictures of Los Angeles burning. There were the conversations about immigration and deportation and how people should be deported and who should be deported first, and conversations about Trump's immigration policy. Debates about protesting violently versus over policing, and peaceful protesting versus bringing in the National Guard, bringing in Marines. All of these things were the biggest stories of June's, right? Or the biggest stories for the beginning of June, I should say. And that's kind of the point of this episode today. Since then, we're now at the end of June, beginning of July. It will be probably July 1st, July 2nd when this video comes out. Since then, we've had Israel, Iran, and America, which is a problem that is still going on, and that's not what this episode is about. But if you do any upkeep of news, you've heard about that in mid-July to the end of, or mid-June to the end of June. We have another tariff conversation going on right now where Trump and Canada are arguing again. We have the big, beautiful bill, which is what a lot of people are talking about right now. Elon Musk just sent shots at Trump. Gavin Newsom, it's all over his Twitter. But it's important to say the Marines, the National Guard, and ICE are still in Los Angeles affecting the community. And they are there living in fear, regardless of how you feel about it, regardless if you feel like they deserve to be deported and they're here and they're breaking the law and this is something that needs to be done, or you think that there's a better way that this could be done. It's happening. They're still there. And if you were watching CNN or Fox or whatever you were wanting to watch your news from, your linear news TV, you wouldn't have known that these problems are still going on and that this is something that is still affecting the immigrant community in Los Angeles still to this day at the end of the month in June. And it's interesting to me because I wanted to make this episode because I feel like that is a lot of times a portion of the reason why people hate the news. Every week it's a different story that's going to end the world, and they cover it like it's the worst story in the world. And then they don't mention it again because they bring up another story that is the new biggest story in the world, a la the Israel, Iran, an America conversation that's been going on that it looks like you guys didn't care about me talking about, but that's besides the point looking at these views. But that's one of the things I think people hate about news is that we have these big stories and then we just go away from them. And we feel like every week has to be the big story of the day or the week. Whereas I think it would be better to cover these things and give updates more throughout so we know how these things are being developed. And it doesn't feel like we're coming back to them just when a humongous thing happens. And that's why I wanted to do an episode giving an update on what's going on in Los Angeles now at the end of June going into July. It's my attempt at an intro. My name is Garrett. This is Guarantee News. If you're watching for this first 3 minutes, thank you. You could be watching anything in the world and you're watching Guarantee News, and I appreciate that. Please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube at GS Studios, GSTEWDIOS, and also subscribe to my Twitch. That's spelled the same, just with an extra S, GSTEWDIOSS. I will be going live every day of June, except for Sundays, and I'll be giving more laid-back commentary on the news and everything going on right now, but this episode is going to be an update, like I said, on everything going on in Los Angeles. And back to what I was saying is, if you've been watching the news in the last 2 weeks of June, you rarely see this topic going on. And I was thinking, just a couple of days ago, I wanted to do an update just for myself, like what's going on. Is the National Guard still in Los Angeles? Are the Marines still in Los Angeles? Are the protests still going on? It's yes to all of the above. And I think I want to just go over a couple of headlines, have you guys potentially maybe read a couple of articles yourself and just kind of go and just do a highlight on this story that is still going on. And the first thing I'm going to do with this is touch on Gavin Newsom. Because I did an episode, actually, it's this one. It's the last episode I did 9 days ago. That's too long ago without me filming. I know I need to film more. But what's going on in LA part 4 is Gavin Newsom, who Democrats need. And in that video, I was talking about how Gavin Newsom, I gave him credit because he was one of the only politicians that I've seen that has gone at Trump every single way possible. He's gone at him politically with how he goes on social media and everything like that, but he also goes against him in reality with suing the Trump administration, something that's still going on and that we will be continuing to cover. But the only thing I will say about him is that he's very social media based, and I ask if he's the one that Democrats need because he's too politician-y. If you watch that YouTube video, which I think you should, I kind of went into how he kind of reminds me of a politician from The Wire. what is it, Carcetti. But he just seems like there's something that I don't trust, and he uses social media in a way similar to Trump, but not as good, where he's trying to stoke the fires, cause more this than this, and just giving information and giving facts and like focusing on the good things that he's doing to try to go against the Trump administration. And when this was going on in the beginning of June, every single day, Gavin Newsom on Twitter was talking about something going on in California, which you would think he should do, but it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because he seemed like he was doing it from a perspective to be on. It was just kind of performative. That's the word I'm looking for. Now, if you look at his tweets for the last couple of days, for the last week, I don't see a single tweet about it. This is from June 27, 2 days ago, Fox News talking about defamation. This tweet is about the Big Beautiful Bill. This tweet is about what? The Big Beautiful Bill again. Like, and the Big Beautiful Bill we will talk about on stream, and it is important, and Elon is going at him again. But it's that Gavin Newsom is kind of giving like a news vibe to the way he approaches social media, where he seems to be very heavy on these topics and not going back to them. And as much as what's going on in LA still to this day, I think he should still be talking about it. It should still be on his Twitter. Medicaid, this is another Big Beautiful Bill. This is a defamation lawsuit. This is another interview. He's always doing podcasts. He's always posting interviews. Like, I like Gavin Newsom, but I don't think like this kind of, to me, just gives proof of like my feeling of back in the beginning of June when I was looking at Gavin Newsom and I was looking at everything that was going on in LA, and I was wondering, is Gavin Newsom handling this the right way? He's handling it a very good way, but there's parts of it I don't like. So that's the one thing I wanted to say, is just make that example of Gavin Newsom. And it kind of reminds me of the opposite of a politician, Zohran Mamdani, who we're talking about on stream and we're talking about on the YouTube channel, and how he does social media the right way and uses it to get out facts and to be strictly focused on policy and not just focused on stories. And Gavin Newsom seems to have a mix of policy and what's going on, but also a lot of stories. Now I just want to go through some headlines to kind of just give you guys a point of what's going on in Los Angeles walking into the beginning of July, right? Let's see. Let's go to the first one. This one right here, an article by The Guardian. Militarized troops here to stay as Trump doubles down on deployments. We'll just read the first thing. Shortly before last... Well, no, this doesn't have a good opener, actually. It's a good opener, but I don't want to for the point of this video. Militarized LA. Troops are here to stay as Trump doubled down on deployments, right? Then we're seeing this one. We're seeing the best of LA. As ICE raids haunt the city, Angelinos, I know I said that wrong, show up for each other. This was posted This was written on... When did this come out? Let's see the date on this. June 26th, right? Thursday, June 26th. This first one was done on Monday, June 23rd. This one, let's go and look at it. Terrifying kidnapping. 911 call turns out to be ICE operation. This was done on June 26th. So these are not too long ago. This one I would look into. This is on the Daily Beast, but if you just look up kidnapping 911 call turns out to be an ICE operation, if you just look up this, you'll find it. This is by Tom Sanders. This is an interesting story. If you look at much of LA's community of immigrants is hiding, leaving a hole in the fabric of the city. When was this? This was done on, June 26th. Then if you look at this one, fear of immigration raids forced the cancellation of several July festivities in Los Angeles. These are all articles and headlines from the last week, and I always say I don't like doing headlines because I don't feel like they tell the full story. I'm just doing these headlines because I don't want this video to be long, and you can pause any of this and look into and read these and go into more of the stories. But I just want to say this to say, these things that were happening in the beginning of June are still happening, and they might not be happening. It might not be the protests that are as bad and as violent, which we talked about that too. And I think that's a good thing, but the coverage still needs to be there. And you don't see it on major news platforms because they're always stressing you out about the newest story. And the newest story is always important, but the story that is still going on, you need to still continue to cover that, right? And that's something that I just think frustrates me, is I'm not seeing that in the newsletters. I'm not seeing that on CNN. If I go to CNN right now, I can almost guarantee they're not talking about the ICE raids. And this is something that I didn't even do for the plan. I just want to see, am I just talking out of my ass, or can I be true? Let me just go to CNN. I'm about to go to their YouTube page. And I just want to see, what's the mix? Sometimes when you're watching the linear news, you feel like, and we're at a good time here, so that's why I'm talking a little bit. Yeah, no, videos. Let's just go through it together. What's the mix of the stories that we're getting right now, right? Affirmative action, Canada's new tax, strikes with Iran, Eric Adams, which we need to get to. Eric Adams and Zohran Mamdani. We will get to that on this channel on thing. But look, I mean, Diddy, Iran, Cobra Kai, big one as he takes Supreme Court victory rap. There's a lot that happened with the Supreme Court that we talked about this. Where like there's you don't see a story about what's going on with immigration in Los Angeles, and that's one of the biggest stories I think that you would continue to keep going up on. And if you don't go and look at it, you would think, okay, LA's cool now, everything's smooth, it's not that big of a deal, and it's not. And it should be covered, but I don't think it's hip or trendy to. And maybe I won't get a lot of views for this video because maybe I'm talking about something that's last week's news, but I just think that's something that interested me. I think it's important to know that the immigrant community in Los Angeles is still being very affected. There's still a problem with in my opinion, with how ICE and how not how they're being used, because at the moment they are being used to just guard like immigration facilities and stuff. And I don't want to go on a diatribe and get on to another topic when I'm making good time with this video. But I think this is a story that needs to be continuously covered. And I don't think it's something that people should forget about until the next big protest happens or the next big thing that Trump does happens to make this a story. If you just look at all of these, let's just go through them again before we end. I mean, troops are here to stay. He doubles down in deployments. This was less than a week ago. Like, raids forced the cancellation of several July festivities in Los Angeles. Several communities in Los Angeles have called off or postponed their previously scheduled Independence Day and July events, citing resident safety amid ongoing immigration enforcement raids. Ongoing. Much of LA's community of immigrants is hiding, leaving a hole. And again, if you don't care about this or you think this should be done, you're not going to care. But I think it's something that needs to be highlighted, and that's why I did this episode. Again, as usual, if you watch this entire episode, I really do appreciate it. We're going to be continuing to give news, continuing to give videos like this. And that's a wrap on that. And just go and Google and just search things. The story that you saw a week ago, just search an update on it. Or watch Guaranteed News, because I think it's important for me to give those updates. And that's all I had on this. I'll see you guys soon. I mean, depending on when you're watching this, probably on stream tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern time or 9 o'clock Eastern time. So go to my Instagram, look when I'll be posting, or go to Twitch, and depending on when you're watching again, and start watching Guaranteed News live. That's a wrap.